If you always use solid elements for every FEA model, maybe you are wasting hours of simulation time. In this example, I compare a detailed FEA model using solid elements with the same model but using beam elements. I will show you that the global displacement was practically the same, but the significant difference was how the beam element model ran in just a few seconds. So in this video, I will show you when beam elements are the right choice, when they are not, and how to use them to validate structures faster without losing the global behavior. Hi, Carlos here, and for those of you who don't know me yet, I've been more than 12 years validating real FEA projects across different industries. That's why I created my validation method to teach FEA the way industry actually demands. And today we are going to continue reviewing concepts of that methodology. To understand better this kind of elements, I wanted to show you this example. What do we have here? This is a simulation of a vehicle rollover. This model is made by solid elements because the customer wanted to understand all the details of the structure. But sometimes we are not aware about the cost and time we can save by using the correct strategy in our FEA simulations. Because as you can imagine, the time of preparation and simulation of this model has been significant. And I wanted to show you how I save a huge amount of time and resources by using beam elements. First of all, let's do a quick review to understand how they work and how to define them in order to avoid wrong analysis. At the end of this video, you will know when to use them and be really efficient in your simulations. Let's go for it. In previous video, we were checking the main differences of using solid elements and versus cell elements. And today we are going to check the power of beam elements. As we can see in the sketch, beam elements offer 6 degrees of freedom, which will give us flexibility to work with our structures. The question is, how to know when to use them? Okay, let's take a look. Here we have another example. Basically, what we are going to do is to transform that geometry like this one into a one-dimension element model, but with the same mechanical properties of each component. We are not going to model the geometry, but we are going to model the representation of that geometry to analyze the global behavior in the most efficient way. Okay, I didn't come here to bore you. I came here to show you how it works. So let's look at some examples in FEA. Let's move to the software. Okay, what do we have here? This is an elevated water tank system supported by steel frame structure. What is the purpose of this kind of systems? Basically, it's water storage and distribution, providing pressure using elevation, common in rural areas, industrial plants, fire protection systems, etc. In this particular case, we have a tank of a capacity of 800 liters. If I zoom in, we can see that the structure supporting the tank is built by square profiles. For the pillars, we have section of 40 by 40 millimeters, and for the diagonals, we have 20 by 20. Okay, so then what are we looking for when we analyze these kind of systems? One of the most important points to check is the capacity of the structure to withstand all the load coming from the tank. These loads can be the weight of the tank or internal loads due to the pressure, and also the loads coming from the wind in the transversal direction, etc. I already prepared one of these events in the simulation model, so I will move directly there to show you. Okay, here we are. As you can see, I am not considering the geometry of the tank. As always, in FEA, we try to be as much efficient as possible. Then, what I am doing is considering a punctual mass element to represent the tank on the center of gravity. I am also using a remote load to represent the wind loads coming in the lateral directions. And of course, I'm using the gravity of the system. If you're interested in more details how I prepare this model, let me know in the comment. And remember, you have now the great option of taking a look into my special training program in the description of this video, where you will learn all of this among other cool things. Okay, let's continue. For the restrictions, I fixed the 4 bottom plates that are connecting to the ground. As you can see, I didn't consider the bolted connection in order to make it simple for this example. Of course, in future videos, we'll go deeper into bolted connection. Okay, what is important here? As I always say in my trainings, in FEA, we always are looking for understanding the load path, meaning that before pressing the running button, we need to interpret how our model is going to behave and how each of the components will react. As I said, we are applying the loads in the top. The first one to receive these loads is the top horizontal plate. And then the loads are moving through the 4 connection plates underneath the big plate. And then it will go to our tubular extractor. This extractor will be responsible to carry all the loads coming from the top to the bottom, finalizing with the 4 anchorage plates connecting directly to the ground. In order to have a reference for this test, I did a detailed simulation using solid elements. I will show you. Here we can see a very detailed mesh that is taking the 3D geometry of everything. Here, and also in the top plates. Everywhere we are using solid elements. If I check the details of this mesh, I go to Mesh, right click and check details. Here we have around 750,000 of nodes and 374,500 elements, more or less. And the maximum aspect ratio is 7.2, which is acceptable as we studied in my FEA training program to validate any FEA simulation. Let's have a look at the results. First of all, I'm going to show you the stress plot. So I go to stress and show. Okay, what we can see. The effect of the combination of loads in vertical direction and lateral directions are showing us a particular deformed shape of the top plate, right? It's not symmetric. The deformed shape is indicating how the loads are transferred to the horizontal plate to the extractor, and the max stress value is located here, indicating where we will need to take care when analyzing deeply. Okay, good. Let's continue. I also prepared a second model using beam elements. Here, what we have is exactly the same simulation definition, with the only difference of the elements used for the entire extractor. We can see how the software generated the connection points of the extractor component. These ones are called joint elements. We will enter into more details in future videos. Okay, let's review the results. Let's check the stress plot. Go to stress and show. Looking at the global behavior, it's quite similar, right? Just to mention that when we are using combination of elements, we will have dedicated plots per element. This is because not all the results that the beam are going to give us are the same as the results that the solids. So in this plot, we are able to check the stress values on the components where we are using just solid elements. And we will check later the results in the beams. The most important thing I wanted to show you how we capture the global behavior and if we can trust in this model. So let's compare them. If I go to results, I will compare stress and displacement and stress and displacement. Click OK. Okay, here we have them. As I was saying, the beam elements are not going to show us stress values. So you might be thinking that comparing stress here is not 100% realistic, right? But as we have also solid elements, here we can see where we have the maximum value of stress, which is 133.3 megapascals, quite similar to the value that the solid element model gave us. Good. And if we compare the displacements, we can see exactly the same value, 1.64 millimeters and 1.64 millimeters. Therefore, right now, looking at this global behavior, we can say that we trust the model with beam elements, so we can move forward and analyze it in more detail, and for sure use it for the development process. I'm going to exit from compare. Before we continue, as we did for the shell elements in previous video, I wanted to show you the differences in terms of computational time and cost. Here we can see the summary. If we compare the number of nodes and elements in the solid model versus the BIM model, we can see approximately just a 4.5% of the total nodes used in the solid model. But the big difference is that the solid model took 1 minute 11 seconds and the BIM model just 4 seconds. This is like a 5% of the total time. And now you might be thinking, well, that simulation of 1 minute or 2 minutes is not a big issue, right? But remember the example of the vehicle rollover that I showed you at the beginning of this video. That model took me hours of simulation using solid elements and just some minutes using BIM elements. Looking at these numbers, it's worthy to consider BIM elements in our simulation whenever we can use them. In summary, if you are working with a model where you have BIM extractors and you need an efficient analysis, BIM elements are your best choice. In the next video, we are going to enter into more detail of BIM elements resource analysis. Because remember, as FEA engineers, we are always looking for the most efficient way to analyze the models. And of course, if you want to dive deeper into this topic and learn how to optimize your simulations, check out the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this one. See you in next video. Have a great day.